My pulse raced at the astounding accomplishments of the mercenary known as Demon Lord. I forgot about my job and read everything I had on hand. Around the time Demon Lord received his nickname, South Belka showed signs of weariness regarding the war. Because the region was set up as a defense line to protect the birthplace of Belka in the north, the people's dissatisfaction had reached a climax. The cities declared themselves demilitarized and peacefully surrendered to the Allied forces. Unable to establish a defensive position, the Belkan army kept retreating to the north. The end of the war was fast approaching. I was given an opportunity to interview the former aces of the Belkan Air Force. Back then, they were the masters of the sky, and they had also known him. So I crossed the border to follow his trail. I wanted to capture the war and the Demon Lord from their point of view, to capture the voices of those who were there. Indigo Team Commander, former member of the Belkan Air Force, 7th Air Division, 51st Tactical Fighter Squadron, Dmitri Heinrich. An ace whose precision and grace in flying earned him the title of Blue Heron. Today, he has his hands full with the family business.
That day, right before I deployed, my airspace assignment was changed. Initially, my squadron was assigned to the stable Eastern Front. That was changed to Area B7R, the round table where casualties were recorded at a fearsome pace. It's also the place where I met him. It was just 2 planes, him and an eagle. And yet our lead force didn't stand a chance against them. I could tell he was good, and it was going to be bad for us. But there was something else I noticed. He hesitated. A vulnerability that can be exploited. I was certain I would win. The pilot was still young. He had yet to master the rules of combat. But in the end, I was shot down.
Gelb Team is number 2, former member of the Belkan Air Force, 5th Air Division, 23rd Tactical Fighter Squadron, Rainer Altman. He flew the skies of Directus during the capital's liberation, and he's still there to this day.
I met him above this very sky. I can still hear the sound of the missile alerts from that day. I received an order to fly to Directus on my way back from an intercept mission on the southern defense line. The order itself wasn't unusual. We kept being deployed from one mission to the next without receiving even the basic maintenance. But the situation was the same all around. We were late reaching the operational space. The station squadrons had already retreated, and warning bells were going off in the city. And the people were looking up to his plane, high above the sky. I couldn't see any emotion in his maneuvers. I didn't feel like I was fighting against a human being. I wanted to end that battle as quickly as possible.
Silber Team Commander, former member of the Belkan Air Force, 51st Air Division, 126th Tactical Fighter Squadron, Dietrich Kellerman. He was once the top ace at Belka and a fiery instructor at the Air Force Academy. In 1995, the Belkan Air Force sent him to the front lines to bolster troop morale.
He was good. From what I'd heard about him, I thought he was still just a young mercenary. But he matured since then. He still wasn't perfect, but I could see he had come a long way towards understanding the rules of combat. What's important on the battlefield is to let go of hate, to survive, and to adhere to the rules you've set for yourself. These are the rules I've taught my students. And when I saw him, I could tell my time was done. A new generation had inherited the sky. There was no more need for an old soldier like me.
Every time I flew with him, his skill stood out. He was unstoppable. He was cool-headed and proud, a combat professional. Demon Lord fit him perfectly. Maybe the man was blessed by the goddess of war. Before long, everyone had taken notice of him. More and more would show up to watch him go off on sortie. Mercenaries or maintenance crew, it didn't matter. People wanted to burn his image to their memories. Hell, they weren't the only ones.
The Belkan forces are beginning to take flight. The industrial city of Hoffnung is crucial to the enemy's industrial strategy and the heart of its war productions. The Allied forces have decided that all Belkan war production must be stopped to expedite the end of the war, and has requested our participation in this operation. The operation will primarily involve the bombing of ground facilities by the Allied forces' bombers. Your mission is to support those bombers and attack enemy facilities. We have achieved near total air supremacy over the target area, but don't let your guard down. There may still be sporadic resistance.
And by sporadic, resistance, he presumably means a whole lot of dudes. They got B-52s though, so they will handle the destruction of factories and hangars and stuff, thankfully, because I don't actually want to shoot those. There's a lot of SAM sites though. Also, they go from saying they want to burn his image into their memory to a mission called Inferno. I'm no expert or anything, but when you're in an Ace Combat game and you've just taken down a space laser of doom and they mention something about Infernos, there can sometimes be problems. So there's the Su-27 that we've been fighting. It's actually quite cheap. Decent stats, not amazing, but for the price of 64,000, that's pretty good. Eagle is technically slightly better, much higher price though. Has a slightly different secondary. I don't know what an SFFS is. Either way, X-29As, yeah, want it. There's the Griffin, and we're back to the MiG that no one ever flies because it's a fish bed. I love how it's called, the code name for it is fish bed. That's just the greatest thing. Excuse me, we could buy a weapon for our Su-37 here. Ground target weapon. And the only thing we could afford would be a napalm bomb. I want to use a napalm bomb? Not really. Guess we won't buy anything. The napalm bombs are alright. They're only really good for using against basically lines of units, and unless you're shooting at yellow targets, there's generally not going to be lines of units for you to shoot at, so I actually do like this special camo better. I don't know why. It's really not that different. It's more a modern camo, but whatever. You can have bombs. I'll tell him to prioritize ground targets, so that way I'll just handle the air targets as they show up. It is hard to see.
That must mean the bombing started. Cover the Allied bombers. Eliminate all ground and aerial threats.
There's PJ over there.
Let's move.
I'm on it. So we probably don't want to go up considering we're going to be doing ground targets, but it is real hard to see.
To all bombers, Remove Belka's ability to counterattack. Priority is
Is
placed
that
on
tanks?
destruction
It's
over
probably
accuracy.
tanks. Destruction over accuracy, eh?
Initiate bombing sequence. Bravo! Turn it to ashes. That's not enough. Drop more bombs. I thought they were on a precision bombing mission. They're just tossing bombs all over the place.
I don't know how I feel about this mission anymore, Pixie.
Our captain's been killed. The chain of command is disrupted.
Well, that was easy. We've disrupted their chain of command already.
Missile launched.
You can use your special weapons if you want.
Sam
Why not?
destroyed.
Lots of SAMs over here, APCs, AA gun. I want to lock onto that, thank you.
Radar lock. Warning, the enemy's
okay.
locked onto you.
As long as I'm going fairly fast, I don't need to worry about these SAM sites. Those missiles aren't going to track me.
A tomahawk just hit the city. Are those guys serious?
They're shooting tomahawks at a city? Come on now. It's a city, man. Please lock onto the target closest to the cursor.
Locked on.
Sometimes it does that. Sometimes it locks onto the target closest to the cursor, like it should. Other times it just doesn't care.
Attention Allied fighters. Our tank unit's advancing to Sector 2, but some Belkan planes are giving us trouble. Take down those planes for us.
Will do.
Launch! Launch!
Unless they turn, they're already dead. In fact, they are turning. Nope, they're dead.
We can get to more Allied positions. What the hell am I supposed to do? Mercenaries? Well, we appreciate the help. We'll be moving on.
You're welcome. Pixie's still over here doing his thing, I think.
Going up in flames!
I feel bad for the Belkans now, man. It's a lot of oil tanks. Like, if I was doing bombing runs on those oil tanks, that would be a good place for napalm bombs, because you could hit 3 or 4 of those with a single bomb.
Locked on.
He's behind whatever that structure is.
This is PJ. Something strange is going on down there. The number of burning areas just suddenly increased. Inform all units. This is an order from Operation HQ. Abandon Hoffnung. However, do not retreat until all facilities are destroyed. Leave them nothing. That is all.
The dude sounds distressed.
Falcons are setting fire to their own.
That's not suspicious at all, when they set fire to their own freaking city. Got some planes in front of me, I think. I don't know what they are, but they're red for some reason. So we'll go hang out with them. There we are.
What has become of our mighty Air Force?
2 MiGs. Still 2 MiGs. Yeah, they got out of the way of those easily enough.
Falcon territory. Burn down the entire city. Set fire to the buildings on your way out.
That may have been a slightly unnecessary swirl I did there. Oh, I actually missed one. I also almost hit myself with my own missile, I think. I don't know if that's physically possible, but it was pretty darn close.
Spreading. Falcon City's gonna burn to the ground. The city's going up in flames.
I think he took down all the ground targets already. Yeah, he did. There's also a
Learn to accept it.
weakened plane somewhere.
You expect me to believe that arson and indiscriminate bombing is war? There's no mercy in war. It's a collision of powers. Even war has a set of rules to follow. I've detected an unknown craft on radar. The blip is barely visible. It may be a stealth. Hoffnung has fallen to the Allied forces.
2 F-35s. Okay, I'm just gonna use regular missiles on this dude unless he starts doing some fancier evasion than this. Which I don't think he's going to. Nope. Oh hey, suddenly a bunch of aircraft showed up on radar. Whoa. That was dangerous on both of our parts. There's a plane like right next to me. It keeps going in and out of radar. Ow. Whatever it was, it got a heck of a shot off on me. It's also still dropping radar constantly, which is making it a bit difficult to track. Is it the F-35Cs that are doing that? Maybe? Come on. It is the F-35Cs that are doing that. There's a thing going on over here. What is this? What's going on here? Those freaking B-2s.
This is Bomb Unit 3. I'm taking enemy fire. What happened to our escort planes?
What do you want me to do about your escort planes? I don't have freaking radar anymore.
Mayday! Mayday! Mayday!
Seriously though, this plane right next to me, somewhere, there it is the cause of the problem here.
Engage!
It's also an ace. Also I stalled because I'm not paying attention to my speed. It's also a very fast ace. EA-18G, there we go.
I'm being targeted. I can't shake him.
So what are these B2s doing? The B2s, they only really do one thing, but why are they here?
They'll pay for what they've done to Belka.
Technically, you're doing that to the place, you know? Whatever. Let's not get technical here. He's probably gonna evade that. Without even trying, I'm sure. Yeah. Got a bit greedy with that one. Didn't, however, get greedy with that. There is a... Whoops, that is not what I meant to do, if you're curious. On how not to fire missiles. Would like to push the nose in a direction other than straight up, please. Oh, he's not dead. I thought he was dead. Only got 35 missiles left at this point, so I'd prefer not to use them if I can, but this dude's doing stuff that's real weird on my radar that don't make any sense, and I wish he would stop it. There we go.
Down all Belkan fighters.
We're way high up.
Ignore the civilians. Our priority is withdrawing the troops out of the area. For fans in Block D, join up with this company from Block C. Don't leave anything behind for the Allied forces. Mission objective fulfilled. All units, return to base. Damn them all.
Nobody knew why they were fighting anymore. All I felt at that point was sadness for the world. That's why
If you haven't figured out who's
Pursued
talking, by
Allied
the way,
forces, the Belkan forces have taken
We got
flight,
something coming.
abandoning Hoffnung. Without military production capabilities, Belka is in a bind. We were also able to confiscate samples of what seemed to be experimental weapons from the abandoned war factories, before Belka had time to use them.
hooray, I guess. Look at all those points, man. So many points. Those B2As are worth a lot, apparently. So we're up to 88,000 credits again. Should be able to afford a good plane should we need to sell this one and see, but for now, I think that's going to be all the recording I'm doing today. You'll have to figure out what happens next time, which is logical because that's generally how that works, is you find out what happens next time. But anyway, bye, thanks for watching.